work for free, which wasn't an option, and I've probably undersold myself in so many jobs. Some of the things you find are a little bit weird, I will admit. You know, some of the stuff that people are searching for.
We'll have that conversation in a minute.
It has tarnished our industry so badly that I feel I'm constantly having to almost prove that I am someone that you can trust. And so much so, at the end of the meeting, he slapped me on the back and went, "Well done, love."
On this week's episode of The Engaging Marketeer, I'm going back to my hometown of Newport. I'm speaking to Lianne Jones, who is an SEO, content writing, digital marketing, tarot reading witch. I'm sure she won't mind me describing her as that, so I'm going to be asking her lots of questions about how she got into the industry, what sort of people she's done SEO for, and probably a little bit about tarot as well. And I might mention witches, otherwise my daughter would never forgive me if I didn't talk about witches to a witch. So let's find out a little bit more about Lianne Jones from Newport. You've got, I believe it's like 15 odd years experience in SEO, in what used to be back then very much a very male dominated industry. It's a little bit better now. What got you interested, first of all, into coming into the techie world of search marketing?
I had no interest. I didn't know.
Me neither.
I didn't know what I was jumping into. So I started in 2010. I graduated in 2009. I had a degree in journalism. So my passion was writing, and my path was, you know, I was going to work for a newspaper. That was the plan.
You knew what you were going to do. It was going to be newspaper journalist.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, hated the broadcast stuff, did that in uni. It wasn't for me. Video editing, audio editing made me very angry, but the writing, that's where my passion was. So I graduated, that was the plan. I was working in Pets at Home at the time, just to, you know, have some money to play around with. So I wanted to get into something as quickly as I could. But of course, we had the rise of online journalism at the time that I was studying at university. So online journalism was going like this, and newspaper journalism was going like this. Yeah. And then we also had that financial crash in 2009. So when I graduated, finding a job wasn't particularly easy, and you just kind of had to get something to make ends meet. And in the journalism world, it was a case of you work for free, which wasn't an option, or you have X amount of years of experience, which I obviously didn't have. So it was only by chance that I was working with somebody at Pets at Home who knew someone that owned a hair and beauty e-commerce business. And she said to me, "Oh, my friend, he needs somebody who can write. Are you interested in a chat with him?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I rocked up at this little bunker, literally a bunker on a farm.
Literally a bunker.
Literally a war bunker.
Wow.
Converted war bunker on a farm. Had a chat with him, seemed like a nice guy. And he just wanted someone to come in who could write blog posts, who could write stuff for the website for him. I did a trial, wrote some copy for him, and that was it really. And I landed my first digital marketing job without really knowing that's what I was doing. So I was hired as an e-commerce manager, and I was doing everything from, you know, I was writing all of the product descriptions for the website. I was writing the blog posts, I was managing social media, I was doing press releases, but then I was also doing all of the customer service and packing the stock in the back room and shipping that off as well.
You were in distribution as well then?
It was literally just me, yeah. Right. I was doing everything. So it was an interesting step into the industry.
So presumably you had to learn fast then, because there's a big gulf between writing content for a website and setting strategies and doing keyword research and working out what paths people are taking through a website and what's converting and what's not converting. How did you learn all of the other stuff while you were basically running the e-commerce business yourself?
Well, I didn't do any of that strategy stuff there. I didn't understand what I was doing.
Right.
I knew I was writing. I knew that, you know, I was producing stuff that people were engaging with, and, you know, the aim was to get more people into the website and more people buying from us. But I didn't know what the strategy was. I was given keywords. And I remember one day he said something about how, oh, we need to start doing some link building. And I thought, oh no, that sounds like having to go out and talk to people in person, like networking. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
And I was like, oh, I know. I said, I don't fancy that. But I didn't understand any of it. And it was only, so he turned out to be incredibly toxic and narcissistic.
Oh.
So when he started to show his true colors, I was just desperate to get out, and I was applying for jobs left, right, and center. And I got an interview with a massive agent. I don't even know how I pulled this off. I got an interview with a massive agency in South Wales, and they wanted to speak to me about being an SEO team leader. And I literally sat in the interview and said, I don't know what SEO is. And they're like, no, you're perfect. I described everything I'd been doing. They were like, no, you're perfect. I was like, yeah, but I'm not doing SEO. They're like, no, honestly, you've got all of the skills and the qualities that we're looking for. So how I didn't talk myself out of that job, I don't know, but somehow I got it. And it was there that I really started to learn the strategy, understand the tactics, because I was immersed into or dropped into the middle of a team of all of these amazing experts. So I was managing copywriters, technical SEO people, and SEO people. And I just absorbed. I just absorbed everything I could for the people from the people around me. I was very humble and understood that I was there to facilitate and to guide them on things like, their time, make sure they were doing well at work, bring in the elements that I was good at. So I knew good copy. I knew good writing, so I could advise on that stuff. I also had more of a social media edge than anyone else in the team because of what I'd been doing in the previous role. But ultimately, I was there to just facilitate and, make sure they had everything they needed. So I just absorbed as much as I could from these people who were the experts, and then started to build up my own knowledge along the way, really.
Because what you do is actually quite rare. So to find someone that has the writing ability, so you come from a journalist background, that can structure a sentence together and can spell, and then someone that can understand the strategy and the technical changes on a website. So often they're very different skill sets.
I know.
Because from my experience, most technical people, even though they have to be able to spell to write code, they can't spell to write words.
Yeah.
And they also struggle a lot to communicate with people. I'm generalizing a little bit here, but they struggle a lot to communicate with people because they are very introverted, nerdy people, whereas the writers are able to communicate. So to have those two skill sets side by side is quite rare. It makes you a little bit of a unicorn, I think.
I've come to accept that over the years. I think for a long time, I didn't realize that was the case. And I've probably undersold myself in so many jobs. I admit that I tripped and fell into the industry. It was never the plan, but I took it as an opportunity to learn and carried my love of writing through everything. But I did learn along the way, and I did absorb, and I quite quickly got to understand how strategy worked and how I could make all of these moving parts come together to actually do what it needed to do for the client. I'd always been really interested in marketing. I'd studied like media studies and advertising and stuff, growing up. And I was always fascinated by that stuff and how we buy and why we buy and what makes us tick. So I think I was able to just bring it all together and just understood the strategy quite well. I'm a creative at heart, and creativity runs through my blood, but I do also have a very analytical mind. I do overanalyze things in many cases.
Yeah.
So I think that has been a benefit, but I don't think I realized how unique I was, I guess, back then. And I've never been very good at blowing my own trumpet either. It's, so I just I was always happy to just be in the background and let the people around me do their thing.
And how much did your skills flourish in this role? Because you say you tried to talk yourself out of it at the interview. I'm guessing they saw something in you which fitted perfectly that they wanted for the role, even though you didn't realize it yourself. But what sort of skills did you learn in that you didn't have before you went in?
So things like the keyword research, actually understanding how we were finding out what people were searching for was absolutely fascinating. It's one of my favorite things to do to this day still, because
that's weird. That's weird.
Is that weird?
It's a little bit. Keyword research is a little bit weird. Yeah.
Some of the things you find are a little bit weird, I will admit. Some of the stuff that people are searching for.
We'll have that conversation in a minute.
But it's fascinating, it's fascinating to find out how people are engaging with the search engines and what information they're looking for. So that was a big one, learning how to do good keyword research and not just having a list of keywords, because then you've got all of these things and you're like, well, what do I do with this? But then mapping that against a website and strategically thinking about where do we actually want people to come in to this website. So that was a huge learning curve for me, was understanding that. And then the offsite SEO as well. So I'd unknowingly, I guess, been practicing a lot of on-site SEO, doing all of the meta descriptions, doing all of the product descriptions and the blog posts. So I had a much better understanding of the on-site side of things, but the offsite, I had no idea about this link building, which turned out to not be networking, much to my relief. Well, it kind of is, I guess, in a way. And the technical. And it took me, I think that was the biggest one for me. And it took me the longest time to understand the technical SEO. And I am still not, I understand tech SEO now. I can pick up the problems. I can advise on solutions. And there are certain things that I can fix. But I don't naturally have a super, super techie brain. I'm not a web developer. So that was the hardest adjustment, I would say, for me.
Because it's interesting. I think your path is fairly similar to mine in a way, because I started at an e-commerce brand. So I started at Game as the web designer for Game. So in the department, we were responsible for, like you said, the product description. I didn't do the product descriptions. A guy called Gary did those. Hi, Gary, for you listening.
Shout out to Gary.
Shout out to the gals man. And then we had a couple of Games journalists there who were living the best life you could possibly imagine, where they'd have gone, like you, they'd have gone to university to be journalists, and they'd have ended up playing and reviewing video games. 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, and that's all they did, the lucky bastards.
What's the life back then? You could really throw yourself into a passion like that and make a career of it.
You could, because there was loads of money in digital marketing back then. So people were doing visible ad spends on things like Yahoo and spending tens of thousands of pounds a week just to put a banner on Yahoo, and nobody cared about the returns because it's like, we've got to be up there, we've got to be up there, we've got to be up there. And then the bubble burst, but there we go. Yeah. So I went from that into a marketing agency and then into SEO, because like yourself, I think if we were hiring somebody now for an SEO position, rather than look for somebody who's tainted by an SEO agency, which may well have taught them a lot of bad things, because there's a lot of bad things out there, we'd probably look for somebody who had your background, which is, they've worked in-house on an e-commerce brand or an e-commerce business, which means you've done everything that needs to be done to promote an e-commerce business and get sales into that business. If it didn't work, if you weren't good at it, it wouldn't have worked. So you've got the actual practical skills, which makes you perfect for SEO, even though you didn't realize it at the time.
And I think that's the way I then hired as well, because I was a team leader, so I was hiring people, and there would be people that we would take on that were super technical, but then there were other people that I would just see it in them, and they would have that curiosity of how people are interacting with the website, or they would have that creativity that would lend itself well to a digital marketing campaign. So I think that's actually the way I hired, was probably the way that I was hired, if that makes sense.
I think that's the key word you said there, curiosity.
Yeah.
You need to be thinking, how are people interacting with this website? Because it's not just about a handful of keywords ranking in Google, because that's not going to get you anything other than, vanity metrics. What are people searching for? Why are they searching for them? And as you said earlier on, what pages of the site should they come through when they are actually searching for those things? Because what's going to make them do what you want them to do and what they want to do, which is buy a particular product, or buy a series of products, or subscribe to something, or take a trial, or inquire about something. Where can we get them through to that, and how can we devise the strategy that's going to get them through to that? That's the kind of stuff that you were doing without even thinking about it. So
I think that's what confuses people massively as well. A lot of businesses that I talk to, they just assume that you just chuck everything that you want people to find you for at your homepage. But it is that strategy and that mapping of the whole website and understanding, where is the best place to bring people in? I think that's where, this is 16 years on since then. but still, it's just something that people find hard to grasp unless you've done it and you've seen the results, I think.
Yeah, and I used to work for an agency in Manchester in 2007, I think it was, and their whole strategies was just optimize the homepage. So optimize the homepage for 5 or 6 keywords, so everyone's coming in on the homepage. And it was easy back then. They got the rankings. Yeah. A lot of it was paid links from India, of course. They got the rankings, but then the sites weren't converting because why would they? Sites were ranking that probably shouldn't have been ranking in the first place. It was just artificial through paid links. Everyone's coming on the homepage, so they're not actually converting anyway. The companies aren't making any money, but the agency's done what it said it was going to do. It's going to get you rankings.
Yeah.
And it was such a bad way of doing it, which is why we left to start our own business, because we just hated the way they were actually doing marketing in the first place. There's a lot of people like that.
There are, still.
Still, which is bad for businesses, because they're getting ripped off by people who, quite frankly, are selling them snake oil.
Yeah, on both sides, I really feel for the businesses who are being bought into, I'm going to rank well, I'm going to get loads of business from these tactics it is snake oil, and, these tactics that aren't going to sustain for the long term. But also for people like us, it has tarnished our industry so badly that I feel I'm constantly having to almost prove that I am someone that you can trust. I think, there are certain career paths that there's natural distrust, lawyers.
I was just thinking lawyers as you were saying that.
Lawyers, estate agents, they've all got, and journalists. What was I thinking anyway?
To be fair, estate agents, most of them, it's true.
Yeah. Yeah, but, we've had to really work, I think, to prove, those of us who are the good guys and the good girls, we've had to really prove that we can be trusted, because there's so much harm has been done in the industry. And it's a shame, because it's such an exciting area to work in, I think. I mean, I'm a massive nerd, but I think it's so exciting.
Well, as you mentioned, guys and girls, then let's talk about that. You're about, obviously, empowering women in this industry as well. It was very, very heavily male-dominated. It still is to a degree. Yeah. How have you found that and the changes over the years?
So I think when I started out, I didn't really realise that was the case, because the e-commerce company I worked for, the guy who ran it, he was gay, and any of us who ended up working there were females. So I didn't see it at that point because of the industry that I was working in. And although I look back and I reflect on that first agency role, and they hired people based on their talents and their quality and their skills, it wasn't based on gender, but it was very heavily male weighted. And I was the only senior member of the team that was female for the longest time. And still, I don't think I really saw it then, but there were a few things that I look back and remember where I had to just work so much harder than the males in the company. And it's just to be taken seriously. And from a client's perspective, my advice, my strategies, my leadership was all very well trusted in the agency by the people who were above me. But I remember I had this one particular meeting, and it was with a car dealership, which says it all. So It was with a car dealership, and it was me, and I took 2 male members of my team, because most of the female people back then, I would say, were copywriters. And I know it sounds like it's stereotypical, but it really was. If there was a woman in the agency, she was usually a copywriter. So anyway, I went to this meeting. It was me and 2 members of my team. And this guy was just relentless. We're there to support his business and to help him grow. And we were really doing that as well. But we went with some suggestions. We had the results to show him. But he was just picking for a fight. He's obviously used to being in that sales environment where everything was very bro-ish. And I almost felt that I had to go toe to toe with him in the ring. Just to get him to understand that we were on the same page and we were doing everything that we could do for his business. And so much so, at the end of the meeting, he slapped me on the back and went, "Well done, love." You would not have done that because the two guys, because he was getting quite intimidated, and the two guys that I'd taken along, suddenly their voices had disappeared, and it was me that was doing all of the talking. But he wouldn't have done that to them. It was me that he was trying to, trying to goad. I thought, oh, yeah, all the expletives.
Wow.
Yeah.
And, you like to think that people like that don't exist, but they do.
Yeah, they very much do.
They very much
and
do.
Even since, obviously I launched my business almost 3 years ago now. And I had some clients that came across with me because they had lost their support where the agency I was working for had gone bankrupt. And they had obviously chosen to follow me and come and work with me. And there was one person I remember in particular who kept questioning my tactics and my strategy, even though we'd been working together under the umbrella of the previous agency. Because I was on my own now, he suddenly and the advice was exactly the same, but suddenly doubted. It felt like I knew what I was talking about. So would ask for my advice and then toddle off and speak to somebody else who had worked at the agency. Right. But we were friends, so we would speak about it and would confirm that what I had said was correct. Okay, we're doing this.
There's a lot of clients like that, though, isn't there? Who, even though they'll pay for your advice and they'll pay you to do the work for them, they'll still question everything you say. And now, of course, they've got ChatGPT to ask the questions to. So they'll be asking ChatGPT, what would you do with my SEO strategy? This is what my SEO has said. Is that correct? Now draft me a response to send back to the SEO so I can question everything that she's told me is correct.
Yeah.
Do you get that kind of stuff as well?
Not so much anymore because I'm quite selective over who I work with now. And
good way to be.
Yeah, there have been a few situations. I've been really lucky. I must be honest. I've attracted some good people and some good clients over the last 3 years. But there have been a few situations where those alarm bells have gone off and I've thought, well, this is not going to be the best working relationship. So now I recognize those very early and head it off at the pass and don't tend to work with people like that. So I have to say I am very lucky, and I've got, I have had clients where they're just nervous, and it's not so much they will go to ChatGPT and question if I'm right or if I'm wrong, but they just get nervous because there's so much change going on that they just don't understand. Yeah. So I will have the odd one, and you've got the cold outreach that is very prevalent in our industry, where they'll have emails from overseas saying we can improve your SEO, we can do this, much like we were talking about earlier with the links. And that will make them nervous because they think, oh, am I spending my money in the right place? Am I doing everything I can to be as visible as possible? So I get that side of things, but not so much ChatGPT said this to me.
But you're right. I mean, the cold emails, they've existed since email started. As soon as the very first email was sent, there was a spam email following it straight away saying, we can do your SEO for you. And I've seen... I think it was John Muller, or I think it was Matt Cutts from Google years ago saying that even Google gets these emails.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
What do they say? God loves a trier.
God loves a trier. I don't think he does, though. That's the thing. But now you've got, again, with AI, which we are coming on to slowly, I think, here. With AI, there are a lot of platforms out there that will do your SEO for you, or say they'll do. Like there's one that's got a load of advertising I see on Facebook, I see it on LinkedIn, called Hike, where it'll do your SEO for you for something like 50 quid a month. And it's like, I don't need to hire an expensive SEO because Hike does my SEO for me and does all of this.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on the use of AI within SEO? Because it has a place in terms of researching and checking stuff and using audits, but where do you stand on that in terms of what other businesses are using AI for SEO?
I tested it quite a lot. And I've tried to understand how well AI can be used for SEO, and I just don't feel that we're there. A lot of the suggestions that it will make we've got to bear in mind with AI as well, it's a system that is built on past data. It's not current data that is fresh and live now.
Yeah.
Obviously, it is still live, but it's based on a snapshot of the search engines, not something that is being published today. So that's an element of that, comes into it as well. But I've tested it for, keyword research. I do use it to bounce ideas. That's where it comes into play in my business. So if, for example, I've got something that is super niche and you're very close to the coalface, and sometimes you need to be able to take a step back to get a bit of inspiration. So I will use it to bounce ideas sometimes. So I might use it to get like seed keywords, and then I'll go and actually research the viability of those and whether people are actually searching, and go down that whole rabbit hole myself then in the SEO tools. Or if there's something that is super technical that is going on with a website, I do find it useful to use it for those purposes, to say, oh, this is happening. I think it is this, but can you check the code? Can you check this for me? Am I missing something? So in terms of that, when you're working as effectively a solo SEO and you haven't got a big team of experts around you like I did when I started my career, that I find really helpful, because you've got that bouncing back and forth, which I think we all need. But as for strategy, even the keyword ideas it comes up with, the way that the copy is written, none of it is quite good enough to allow you to be competitive enough in this very fast evolving world that we live in. Does that make sense? I feel like I just waffled it.
No, it makes perfect sense. And I love the way you started with that as well, about the snapshot from search engines being already out of date. It's like that old adage that today's newspapers is already yesterday's news.
Yeah, take me full circle back to the journalism.
And it's tomorrow's chip paper.
Yeah.
So it's I've completely forgotten what I was about to say then, but I think it was very poignant and it was very powerful. So imagine I've said something very powerful. Yeah, it was.
I felt that what you said.
Did you? Thank you. I felt it as well. No, it's about using. Yeah, so you've got, say, like Hike, for example. Again, there are people that are using AI purely to do their strategies for them, and it's doing everything for them. And clearly, it's not working. That was it. It was a stat. I gave this at a networking meeting last week because I think it was 2 weeks ago. Search Engine Land did a survey of, I think it was 45,000 results or 45,000 pages, and it deemed that human written content was 8 times more likely to rank number one in Google than AI content.
Yeah, even though Google says we don't have a problem with AI content.
Well, for years Google said don't use it, and then it changed its mind and said, "Oh, use it if it's useful, if it's adding value to it." But 8 times more likely. So if you are one of these people listening to this and you're going out there and you're using ChatGPT to write all the content for your website, bear in mind 8 times more likely human written content is going to outrank you if that's what you're doing. So why are you doing it?
Yeah. What I will say as well is some of my clients who do content at a larger scale do use me for AI assisted content, but it's got to be human edited. You can use it to pull out the bare bones to cut time on your research. But again, all it is doing really is pulling from everything else that is already in the search engines. So, you've got to have that human element of who is actually ranking well and what are they doing to allow them to rank well, and how do we make sure that we replicate that and do better than that to outperform them, and how do we make sure that we sound like our brand as well, because as much as you do all of the prompting, and I've tried and I've had many an argument with ChatGPT, for example, but it still cannot replace the personality and the way that we can, as people, adapt to different tones and speaking to different audiences. It just can't match it.
Absolutely not, no. And then you've got the issue of model collapse as well. Because at the moment, more than half of the content being added to the internet is written by AI. And as you've said, the AI, when you ask ChatGPT to write something, it is going through and it is looking at what already exists. And if half of what already exists was generated by AI, it's referencing itself. So it's looking at itself to bring new content, which then references itself, which then brings new content. And eventually, I've talked about this before, it's like having a VHS tape. If you've ever used a VHS tape, if you copy
I am old enough.
You didn't look it. I didn't want to presume. if you copy a tape onto a tape onto a tape onto a tape, the quality is going to degrade every single time. And it's the same with AI content. If you're using AI content exclusively, it's learning from AI, which is learning from AI, which is learning from AI. The quality is going to degrade, and you're going to get model collapse, which is why human-edited content or human-written content is outperforming it.
Yeah. What's interesting, though, is I feel that I've spoken about this a couple of times recently. I'd be interested to see what you think about it. So ChatGPT came out, okay, and everybody was super excited that there was this thing that could do all of our work for us, especially when we look at something like content writing. And we saw the impact of that in the agency that I was working at, because we had probably 2/3 of our workforce were writers. You know, we were heavily a content agency, and we really valued human written content. Now, a lot of our clients, so it was an affiliate agency, so a lot of our clients were hobbyists.
Right.
So, you know, something came out that was more cost effective, and they went, "Oh, I could do this for myself." So the agency went quite quickly downhill, and we couldn't respond fast enough. But I think back then everyone was so excited about what something like ChatGPT could do. But I feel personally, and I've seen this on LinkedIn and, you know, chatting to people, I almost feel like we're pulling back a little bit more now and realizing that, oh, no, I think the way it was before was actually better.
I think you're right. I think affiliates, especially, because I've been involved with affiliates for 26 years now, 25, 26 years. They're always looking for a quick way to do something. So I remember in the mid-2000s, Amazon released an API where you could basically clone a whole section of an Amazon store on your website. So I had a website that had DVD reviews, and it was built up on hundreds and hundreds of DVD reviews. And I was able to take the Amazon API, build a web store on the back of this DVD website, which is still live now, whatdvd.net. Doesn't get any new content, but it's still live. Create a DVD browser store on the back of that using my affiliate ID, so anybody that went through it would be able to buy content from it. But of course, Google hated that because an affiliate site it's thin content or non-existing content. It's essentially duplicate. It's a duplicate of Amazon. So all these Amazon duplicates cropped up, which were affiliates, and the affiliates having the dream of, I'm going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars a week doing absolutely nothing because I've just cloned this site. Oh, now I've got to fill it with content. Oh, bugger. So they'd get content writers, or they'd use Fiverr or whatever's available at the time, and they'd fill it with content to try and get it indexed, to try and get people to buy it. And now ChatGPT is able to say, oh, I can do it all again. I can fill the whole lot in one go. And yes, you can, but that's not going to work for Google because it's still not adding value to the user. And at the end of the day, that's what your website needs to do. It needs to add value to the person landing on it. And if it's just a duplicate or a clone or a scrape or AI content which is churned out very quickly, it's not giving value. So are you giving value to your user? If yes, then Google's probably going to like it. If no, it's probably not going to like it. But the affiliate industry's always had that problem. Yeah,
because it's quick. It's how can you make money as quickly as possible?
With no overheads, and without actually handling product.
And it's the dream, right? It's that semi-passive income that everybody dreams about. And I do wish that, you know, the skills that I've got, I only got into the affiliate world, so I started working there in 2021, and then we went under in July 2023. So I was only working in that sort of space for a short time. And I wish that I had got onto that bandwagon much, much earlier, because I'd probably be living a life of luxury now, you know, with the skills that I had and what I was able to do.
It is, affiliate can be a very, very fast burn. You know, what works this month might not work next month. And I remember the biggest month I ever had on affiliate earnings was, I remember the month, it was 2007, and it was May, I think, 2007, and it was Google AdSense. So I earned, I think it was $4,500 in a month on Google AdSense.
Oh, nice.
Just on clicks on a website. But it was because I had quite a few Transformers websites. And the very first Transformers movie, directed by Michael Bay, was coming out, and the trailer had just come out. And people were looking to see, how are these things going to look? How is a transformer going to look real? So it was getting tens of thousands of visits to this website because it was a really good domain name. And people were going onto that. It had loads of AdSense on it. I was getting loads of clicks. So I was earning sometimes $100, $150 a day just through doing nothing.
Yeah.
And I'd log in every day in work and just chat. I'd even had a little counter on the top because it was like a widget you could get on your desktop, and it was just showing my live AdSense earnings. It was just, I thought I was going to be rich. This was going to last forever.
You've made it.
I've made it. Exactly. I'm never going to have to work again. I'm going to hand in my notice. It's brilliant. But it lasted about a month and a half, and then it just went right back down again because there was no real content to it.
Yeah.
It was purely on seasonal search traffic. So that's my affiliate journey anyway.
Nice. But it's like gambling, isn't it? It's very all or nothing in the affiliate world, and it is exciting. But I do wish I'd been able to make the most of it had I known about it much earlier than I got involved. But there we go. It is what it is.
It's soulless. You're doing the right thing. I think you're doing the right. You're helping businesses who have a genuine service or product, which is important. Let's talk about what you do for women. How do you help women in your industry? So
when I started my business, the goal was just like it is when you start a business. So I'm just going to help everyone. I'm just going to help everyone. And all the networking gurus tell you that that's the worst thing that you can do. And all the business strategists tell you that's the worst thing you can do. But that was my plan, just to help people be more visible online. And then in 2024, what are we in now? 26?
26, I think.
I know. Just can't remember. It's nothing, everything post-COVID just doesn't make any sense. In 2024, I put myself forward for an award at the Woman Who Achieves. Was it Woman Who? Yeah, the Woman Who Solopreneur Awards in the October. I nominated myself. I thought, I'm not going to get anywhere with this. Whatever, we'll nominate myself. I got through as a finalist, which just blew my mind. I wasn't expecting that at all. And I went along to the awards, and that day really changed my business because I was in a room full of all of these amazing, inspirational women. And I've always very much been a person who likes to hold other people up and see other people doing well. That's why, throughout my career, I was quite happy being in the background, doing what I did, but seeing other people do really, really well on my team. It gave me so much joy when people were able to be promoted or have pay rises. But being in that room on that day and meeting all of those women and hearing the different stories and seeing the awards that people were winning just changed things for me in my business. And I got called out as one to watch, and I've got a certificate up on my wall. And I'd only been, it'd been just over a year since I started my little business, and that recognition meant everything to me. But more so, it was I got in the car, still crying from doing well, got in the car to drive home, and I thought, this is what I want to do. I want to be helping all of these amazing women who've got these ideas and these businesses, and they're changing the world. I want to be able to support these women and help them to shine. So that's where things started to shift, really. And I still have some amazing male clients who I absolutely love working with. But not to get too political, but in the world that we live in at the moment, where it feels like we're moving backwards in a lot of the progression that we've made over the years, I just feel like it's important to help people who are more of a minority to thrive in whatever it is that they want to do. So that's really where my passion lies now, helping female business owners, helping, queer business owners, just helping people to share their voice and make their impact online.
Okay. And do you think, it's a loaded question, do you think enough is being done in this industry?
I feel like I'm probably far too removed from that now. I don't know that there is enough that is being done to encourage women and empower women to step into the technical and feel that they are capable, even if they're in a room full of men. But I obviously have the privilege of not having to work in an agency anymore. But then I see it every day on LinkedIn, especially with all of the chat around AI. There are a lot of predominantly male voices I tend to see who have popped up out of the woodwork, and they're suddenly experts in AIO or GEO, and there's no background whatsoever in having a history in search or digital marketing or anything that remotely makes them an expert. Yeah, I've seen so many of them. They just, and I have a little look through the career and I'm like, what? You've just had a little play around with ChatGPT and decided that, yeah, I can do this. I'm going to run this business.
Now,
so there's a...
do you call them out, though?
No. Because I cannot be bothered lending my energy to the drama.
You see, I could. I could be bothered.
I'll send them your way.
I could make it my mission. Yeah.
Yeah. I did share a post yesterday on LinkedIn. There was a webinar I went to recently, and I was really excited because it was all about how to succeed in AI search. And I was like, cool, let's go along and see what they've got. Maybe they're talking about something I haven't yet heard. And all it was this guy talking to these small businesses like they were children, telling them how SEO was dead, telling them how AI was the future, and then proceeded to share the tactics and the basics of what they needed to do. Guess what? All of those basics were traditional SEO tactics. And I was like,
yeah.
Amazing, genius. Yeah, round of applause for you.
Who'd have thought of that?
I know. Who'd have thunk it? So yeah, back to your original question. I don't know if I can really answer if there is enough being done to support women in the industry. I do feel there is a gap of empowering women to step into the technical, and I do very much see on LinkedIn the loudest, most opinionated voices around the shifts in search seem to be male-dominated voices. But then that's where I love the likes of. Are you aware of Nikki Pilkington?
Nikki Pilkington, I've not seen.
Her strapline is non-wanky SEO, and she calls them all out.
I love it.
She does the things. Yeah, she does the things that if I had the energy to lean into the drama, she's doing what I would do. So there are some strong female voices that I follow and that I love engaging with.
I'm going to search her out immediately. Yeah. I love that.
Oh my God, you have to. She's not too dissimilar to me. She's got crazy hair and. Yeah, there's lots of bright colours going on, but yeah, she's awesome, and she's been doing it longer than me. I think she's been in the industry for like 20 years, so she's also been there, seen it, done it, you know.
So, I think, I mean, I don't want to generalise here, but it seems to be a female trait, as you said. You don't want to take part in this calling people out because. Yeah. It's a confrontational thing. It seems to be there's a lot of women that don't want to do that. They want to just get on with what they're doing, become experts in what they're doing. And you also said you don't blow your own trumpet, which men do. Men are quite happy to say that I'm an expert.
You can say that. You're a guy.
I can say that I'm a guy. I've been, I'm an expert in this. Yeah, fantastic. I've been doing it for 45 minutes now, which makes me a genius expert. So... should women be more boisterous about what they do, or is it just something that you don't think you need to be doing?
Oh, that's such a tricky one because I encourage, a big part of what I do in trying to help women be more visible online is I want their voices to be seen and they're heard and heard. I want them to be sharing their expertise and sharing their opinions and allowing themselves to connect with the right people. But, that kind of the backlash that can come with people not agreeing with what you're saying or, just thinking that you're wrong or whatever it is, whatever that backlash is, and for women, we live in a very judgmental society for all people. But I think for women in particular, you might get called out because of how you look or, how you dress and there's just so much more that is nuanced that comes with it that I think sometimes keeps us smaller than we should be.
Yeah. There's a lady I know I used to work with, Sadie Sharon, if she's watching. She was called a feminazi by Piers Morgan once for one of her opinions.
Oh,
which,
Piers.
yeah, Pierce, hey, he's not one of us, you know.
No.
Can only apologise for Pierce Morgan, but there we go. But yeah, as you say, because it's the old adage that if a little boy is noisy and is talkative, he's assertive, he's confident.
Yeah.
Whereas if a girl does it, she's bossy.
I've been called bossy so many. My mother would call me bossy growing up. So it's those things don't help, you know. Those things don't help.
No, and do you know, I did a podcast interview with a hypnotist, which I've just edited today, actually. And he was talking about how that is a form of hypnosis. That if you tell somebody that they're bossy, they will believe they're bossy. And the example he gave is if you're a parent in a shop and you tell your child, you always act up in this shop, you always make it, they will automatically do it. That is a form of hypnosis. You're conditioning people to believe that. So, yeah.
You absolutely are.
Oh, it's wrong.
It is. And, you know, my other line of work is my spiritual work. And I very much now work with the power of words and the things that we say and the impact that they can have. So I find now that there's an overlap almost between my work, because, you know, I might work with an amazing businesswoman and I might hear her say something like, oh, I don't deserve that, or I can't think of an example now, but I will then hone in on those words and try and help people reframe that as well, because those words, the things that we hear when we're really young and the things that we say about ourselves now and the things that we do are so important. They carry so much magic and so much power.
Shape our beliefs.
They do.
Shape our mindsets. Yeah.
They do.
Well, let's talk about your spiritual stuff then, because we've got probably about 15 minutes or so left. You do tarot as well, which is very different to digital marketing, but you say there's a synergy. So go on, explain how they are linked.
I don't know if I would say that they were super linked, but for me, my awareness of energy helps me to attract the right people into my digital business. I am a big believer as well that I have, you know, I've put so much hard work and so many long hours and long weeks into my digital business since I launched it. But I do believe that just knowing and feeling and believing that it was going to work out has been a big part of my success as well. I've had those doubts that creep in. What if it doesn't? What if it doesn't? But I've always felt, no, I've got this. And the universe has got my back. I really felt that when I was made redundant, because I'd wanted to work for myself for the longest time. I never fit in the corporate world. I was always the weirdo. You know, my face never quite fit in the corporate setup. So I'd always wanted to work for myself, but having the bravery and the guts to take that step was just not something I'd ever gotten around to. So when I was made redundant, I just felt that it was the universe giving me a big kick up the button saying, go and do it for yourself. So that's what I did. And I've really held on to that belief that I can make this work. I will make this work. So I suppose from that point of view, there isn't a lot of overlap for me, because it's been holding on to that belief and manifesting the good things. And I've got some really cool clients now that I feel so grateful to be working for and working with. And I do feel that I've manifested that to a certain extent. So it's the energetics for me that flows between both of the businesses.
I think that probably goes a way to explain it as well, why you are what I described earlier on, you're a bit of a unicorn.
A bit of a weirdo.
You could say weirdo if you like. Unicorn, weirdo. I mean, they're both the same. The fact that you have the creative for the writing, because most SEOs can't write. Most SEOs can't spell, and most writers wouldn't do the technical. Whereas you're also doing the data statistical, fact-based work of SEO, yet you're also into the spiritual aspect of tarot, and they are complete opposites to a degree. So it kind of reflects the fact, your personality, that you are both of those things coming together at the same time as well.
Yeah, and so many people try to box me in, and they will say, oh, well, which business do you love more? Or which one would you like to focus on? And
Who's your favourite child?
Yeah, I'm like, no, I love having both of these things in my life. It makes my brain happy that I can go from writing copy or, you know, looking at the journey of a user in analytics to shuffling my tarot cards it makes me happy to have that variety. I have no doubt that I'm neurodivergent, and having the ability to switch between those different things keeps me
Mm.
motivated and keeps me engaged.
Mm. And I've never had a tarot reading,
Okay.
but I've seen it a lot in films. Obviously,
Yeah.
I'm sure I've seen it very misrepresented in films.
Yeah.
I'm sure. How does it work?
They're just nudges and kind of encouragement from your self-conscious. It's not something that is the way I work with them is I use my own intuition. I don't read the tarot cards based on what their traditional meanings were, because I always feel like that's one person's interpretation, much like the world of SEO.
Mm.
I want to see it, I want to do it, I want to test it myself. So I use my own intuition as to how the cards make me feel for the person that I'm reading for. But often they're just a way to uncover the things that we already know, much like hypnosis or therapy. It's all of this stuff that we've got buried inside us anyway. And it's just encouraging it out and just giving you a little nudge to, maybe you need to make that decision, or you need to look at the people who are around you and check that you've got the right people in your corner and the right people supporting you in life. They're
Mm.
just nudges to the subconscious, I would say, for anyone who isn't familiar with tarot at all. It's
Mm.
not going to tell you in 6 months' time you're going to win the lottery. Don't get me wrong, they will. The way I work with the cards, there will be things where I might draw a card and go, "Oh, you might want to put aside a little bit of money for the next few months because it looks as though that there are going to be some expenses going out." So it's preparing
Wow.
people for
Wow.
for what might come.
And it
But
can
yeah,
be it can be that accurate. It can be that specific.
yeah, and I've been doing this for not as long as I've been in SEO, but I've been reading tarot for, I reckon, about 13 or 14 years. I started when I was in that first agency role.
Mm.
And I've read for a lot of people by this point, and the feedback always blows my mind, that because you read for someone and they think, "Oh, there's no way that's going to happen," and then you read for them again next time and they say, "Oh my God, all of that stuff that you said has now happened, and I there was no way I thought that was going to happen, and it
Wow.
did." So it blows my mind
Mm.
how it works, but it's all, it's all energy, and it's all this stuff that we've already got inside us. We've got so much power, I think, and so much knowledge inside us that is just untapped day to day, because we're in the grind and we're doing the do.
Mm.
But the power of our own minds and our own harnessing our own energy, I think, is phenomenal.
Mm. Which, as you say, is probably linked to hypnosis, to energy
Mm,
as well, because say we condition ourselves and we don't realize it,
yeah,
or we are conditioned
yeah,
by our parents and our surroundings, and we're just completely unaware of it. Which is how hypnosis
yeah,
works, anyway.
yeah.
Right. Every question, whenever I get somebody on here about SEO, I will always
Okay,
ask. I will always ask them something along these lines.
okay.
What do you think the future holds for the industry?
What do I think the future holds for the industry? Gosh, that is such a big question, isn't
I
it?
know it's huge, isn't it? Yeah.
I
There's not long left as well, so
I need to, yeah, need to talk fast. I think SEO is dead. No, I'm joking. Um, I don't think
classic.
that SEO is going anywhere.
Mm.
It is a continuous evolution, as it always has been.
Mm.
I think we need to be far more aware of people starting their user journey in different places. I know
Mm.
that we are more aware of that, but I think that's going to continue to evolve with things like TikTok blowing up, and a lot of people shopping on TikTok now. We have to be far more mindful of the businesses we're working with and helping their visibility. Where are they found online, and how do all of these different platforms fit into that user journey and that buy-in funnel? So I think that is a real key thing for the future of SEO, is that search engine optimization is platform optimization as well. It
Mm.
is the buying journey optimization across so many different touch points.
Mm.
branding as well, I think, is going to continue to be so much more important than ever. You have to prove to Google, if we look at the EAT guidelines, for example, you've got to be able to prove that you are a real genuine brand, which I think is harder than ever with the rise of AI, because everybody is popping up all the time with their businesses. So being able to prove that you're genuine and you've got real value to add to people is going to continue to be paramount, I think, in the world of SEO. Um, what else do I think? What else? What else? What else? I think there's got to be an evolution with things like Google Analytics. I don't feel that it adds the value now that it once did. It is still the single point that we can get the most information we can from a website, I guess, because it is what is embedded in the code. But there's got to be some evolution there with Google Analytics, because I just don't think it is pulling its weight at the moment. And I think there are so many tools that are popping up to try and compete as well. Google is gonna have to pull something out of the bag that is bigger and better than the current iteration that we have of Google Analytics. And I do think there's a certain element of backpedaling as well. I think we will see changes in, yes, people are searching differently, and that's not going to go anywhere. But that's always been the case. We had voice search, we had mobile Geddon, we had all of these changes that shifted how people were searching. And that is going to continue to evolve, and there will be new platforms, a new way of searching coming up. In 10 years' time, we'll probably have screens in front of us and we're just doing this to search.
Like Minority Report.
Yeah. But I do think that there is more of that connection in SEO with the human. And I think that is going to kind of come full circle and become more important moving forward as well.
And there's a lot of stuff that comes in over the years that actually doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like when I was at Game, for example, was it Sky Active and NTL had shop platforms on the TV, and everybody thought that everyone's going to be buying on the TV. The internet's not going to be around forever. It's going to be TV shopping from now on. Yeah. And that just died.
Yeah.
Just died.
Well, I don't know do you watch anything on Amazon Prime?
Yes, I do. Yes.
So, we've got that now in a different form. The adverts, there will be add to your basket while you're watching stuff. I have not done that once.
Nor have I.
In all the shows I've watched.
Nor have I. No. But this was.
But there will be people who do.
This was a website you navigate with your TV remote. And just didn't work. It didn't work. So yeah, I think AI could go the same way. I've always got a problem with the whole branding of search engine optimization, because it's not. You're not optimizing a search engine. Generative engine optimization. You are not optimizing a generative engine. You are optimizing yourself, your brand, your platform for others. So there isn't, and I'm going to get people saying, no. There isn't really a difference between SEO and GEO. There isn't really a difference. You're just optimizing a thing, your website, your platform, your social media, whatever it may be, for different platforms. So either you're optimizing it for Google, you're optimizing it for Bing, for Yahoo, for ChatGPT, for Claude. You're optimizing it for all of them. It is one all-encompassing thing, and different things work slightly different for different ways. So yes, the fundamentals of SEO work for AI. Of course they do. But the fundamentals of SEO have always worked slightly differently for Google than they do for Yahoo. Often, things that you do are the opposite. You just need to be aware of all of these things, aware of all of these platforms. But there's people online that go, the SEOs have come on and they're starting talking about GEO as though it's a thing, and they branded it. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. It's not really a thing. It's because people are looking for it. That's what SEO is all about. It's creating something that people are looking for so that they find you and they see you're the expert in it. That's the whole industry in a nutshell anyway. Yeah. I don't even know why I started ranting about that, but I just...
I have that effect on people, I think.
It happens. It happens. Right. We are pretty much out of time. So, Lianne, if anyone is listening to this thinking, I want to find more about Lianne, I want to find more about her agency, what she does, who she helps, or even tarot, what's the best way for someone to get in touch with you?
So at the moment, for Quartz Digital, which is my digital marketing agency, the best way to find me is on LinkedIn or via the website. I'm going through a fun new rebrand at the moment, so everything will be shiny and new very, very soon. For Spirit of Sapphire, which is my spiritual brand, I'm like a rash. I'm on all the platforms, sharing my knowledge. So I'm on all the platforms for both, to be fair, but I'm far more active with social media for Spirit of Sapphire. So you'll find me on TikTok talking all things witchy and wonderful, on Instagram, and I also have a website as well. So I would love to chat to anybody who wants to pick my brains or talk about all things nerdy and witchy.
Nerdy and witchy, I love that. That's the sort of thing my daughter's really into. So, Lianne, thank you very much for being a guest on the Engaging Marketeer.
It's been lovely. Thanks for having me, Darren.
You're welcome.